In the fall of 2019, 175 College of the Ozarks students embarked on the college's inaugural CitizenTrip, a 2-day immersive learning experience in our nation's capital.
We really hope that the students come away with a further understanding of the college's patriotic goal, an understanding of American heritage, civic responsibility, love of country, and a willingness to defend that.
We're actually trying to take a leadership role in educating better citizens, which we all know the country needs.
Well, this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of opportunity to enhance our education about our nation, about the role that those who have served our country play.
The college truly believes this is an investment in the future, not just the future of the students that are here on this trip right now, but for generations to come.
One of the most memorable learning experiences of the CitizenTrip took place at the National Mall, where students had the opportunity to hear firsthand about World War II and the Vietnam War from veterans who actually fought in those wars. At the World War II Memorial, students were honored to hear one of the last history lessons given by 93-year-old veteran Dr. Bruce Heilman.
It is an honor always to speak to any group from the College of the Ozarks, and it's always an honor to speak as a World War II veteran. Another 4 or 5 years we'll all be gone, so it just caught me just in time. There were 5,000 18, 19, 20-year-old Marines died in 2 days on Iwo Jima. So people don't understand what it's like to die for the country. We had no helicopters back in those days. You either died or you lived, and most died. They were screaming in unworldly kinds of voices. The morphine had worn off. They were all severely wounded. Many of them died before they could get them to the doctor. There's no odor as sickening as the bodies ripening in the sun, but you have to live with it. It's there. So I've worked with the Gold Star families all over this country, and they want all of us to know that their sons didn't just die by a prick of the pen or a shot in the head. They suffered, and they want everybody to know they suffered. And the fact of life is very few people ever get told the real story. Young people ought to know what their forebears went through.
Learning about American history is one thing, but just being able to be here, seeing it like live, it's just a whole nother thing I just can't even put into words.
It's truly eye-opening, and it brings to life what I've learned in the classroom.
It makes you really think about what they did for us and the freedoms that we are afforded now in this country.
At the Vietnam Wall, students heard from General Terrence R. Dake, the college's own 4-star general.
I fought in Vietnam in 1968, 1969. That war was one in which it was different than any other war that we've had in the United States. You know, World War II was a righteous war. It was evil against good. And everybody in the United States knew we had to win that war or our way of life was going to change. Vietnam was different. Deep divisions in our nation at that time. You almost have to have a split screen to say, here's Vietnam, 500,000+ Americans are fighting there, fighting and dying, and people's sons and friends and fathers started coming back to the United States in body bags. As that number grew, the American public began to question, why are we fighting this war? And now back to America, in this very area where we are, the monuments, the mall. And here we have demonstrations ongoing. We have riots. We didn't lose the war on the battlefield of Vietnam. Those Americans fought with bravery and courage. It was lost in our hearts and our minds. The American public believed that we could not win that war. They had lost the will to fight. It's the first war in American history that we did not achieve our military objectives. It was also the first time in American history when the American public did not respect her veterans when they returned home from the fighting. A very difficult time for our nation, and one in which the healing took years and years to do. Our population is about 325 million people. Our military population is less than 2 million people. That's less than 1% of our population defends the rest of us. We owe them gratitude, support.
Learning about American history from those who lived it made a huge impact on the students. Students who will now carry on the veterans' stories and legacy.
Being there with people who have served in those wars makes it so real to me. I mean, reading books is one thing, but when you actually get to be there and watch the person, make eye contact with the person who is telling you those stories, it makes everything come alive. It makes me proud to be American, even more so than I was before coming here.
It was a totally different perspective than I feel like we talk about in history. We talk about the honor of the soldiers, but hearing the actual suffering and hearing the hardship, that it wasn't an easy sacrifice, but they made it anyway. And I think that was the most amazing part from hearing from those gentlemen. It gave me a different perspective on the actual sacrifice they're making. It's not a small one.
I definitely think my appreciation for this country is definitely going to be changed after going on this trip, because we learn a lot in history classes just about what these veterans did for us, but like when you're actually here, you gain a respect, and even more just deeper respect for the people who've served. And I feel like that respect is something that all American citizens should have for our country, and I thank the college for allowing me to just come on this trip to gain that respect.